Hey guys, my name is Jason Goodison. I'm a software engineer at Microsoft, 6 internships, 3 countries, blah, blah, blah. You've heard it before. Recently, we just hit 1K subscribers, so congratulations. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this community. Our Discord channel just reached about 70 maybe people, and they're all in there helping each other, whether they be grade 9s, whether they be grade 12s, whether they be fourth year university looking for a full-time job. It's a great community of people looking to learn, looking to help build your resume, looking to just interact with you. So highly recommend you guys sign up for that. Link in the description. But today, that's not what we're talking about. Today, in the Discord channel, I promised to do a Q&A, and somebody kind of gave out to me because that was like 2 weeks ago and I haven't done it yet. So somebody kind of gave out to me and I felt bad, so I figured I would do it tonight. How did you start programming? What made you stay? First question. Well, I started programming because, basically because I was good at math and I figured it would be a good job. And I heard that programmers made good money. So I figured I would do it and just see what happened with it. And then I started doing it and I actually started really enjoying it, much to my surprise. So I was kind of lucky that worked out the way that it did, because I was highly considering going into physics, and I almost went to physics at McGill. Just decided by this much to go to Waterloo. What's the difference between software engineering and computer science? I'll do a full video about this at some point, but the basic difference is software engineering is an engineering. So you have to take like all your engineering courses like physics, chemistry, all of the additional stuff. Computer science is a little bit more laid back. It lets you choose your electives. So you can choose to make it just as hard as software engineering, or you could choose to make it kind of birdy, and you could take like a few bird courses so that it's a lighter load while you work on those really tough math courses. Software engineering, I would say, is known as a little bit more prestigious from the people that actually went to Waterloo. But when you step outside of Canada and you're just talking about employers generally, I don't think it's gonna matter at the end of the day when you look for your full-time job. What's your primary advice for learning languages efficiently and then using them outside of whatever course or tutorials you are following to learn the basics? Essentially, after having stood a language fundamentals, what's the next step? Okay, I've talked about one of these things before. Basically, what I used to do is I would follow like a Udemy course on Android development to try and learn a new technology. And I would follow that course, but at the same time, while I was following that course, I wouldn't be building the app they're building. So if they're building like a weather app, I would be following the course, but I would be making a currency converter. So the idea is it's different enough that you can't just copy their code. It's similar enough that the fundamentals you're learning in that course are still transferable to the other apps. So I would say don't copy and paste. Definitely do something different than the tutorial is showing you to do. And then after that, the next step would be to just do something without a tutorial, right? To come up with an idea in your head of a good side project, and then just find a way to implement that. I have a video on how to make your side project stand out. Be sure to check it out. I think it pops up here. What kind of comp projects should you do to show employers in case you don't have any work experience? I did a video about this a while back, but I should really make a more fleshed out version. I talk about it a lot though. Like I talk about the spirit of your projects a lot. And I think the spirit of your projects has to be solving a real problem. Like you can't just go ahead and make another weather app, because you're not gonna stand out, because everybody has a weather app. So it might be a good introduction, but you really have to solve a real problem. And the problem doesn't have to be experienced by all 7 billion people in the world. The problem could be experienced by just you. But the idea is build a project that solves a real problem in your life or in your friend's life, and that's what's going to make you stand out, because you're not just building stuff for the sake, you're building stuff that's actually being used. Another thing, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you make a new project. I would recommend adding to open source projects, or building something with friends is another great way to show the collaborativeness. You can collaborate with other people and you can work as part of a team. So if you just build a project and lock yourself in your bedroom and build it for 2 weeks, you're not going to show those skills, which are vital when you're working at a small company, even a big company. Lead Party is open source. It's the software we built here to competitively lead code against your friends. That's open source. I'll review your code. It'll be like a team project for us. How often do competitive programming scenarios come up in real life as a software developer? You know what? Every once in a while, actually. So most people would say never, but it's not never. It's every once in a while. Every once in a while, you'll have a problem in work, and you're thinking, okay, I'm given a list and I need to produce this number. And then you think about it and you go, this actually kind of be a good interview question. So let's say every once in a while. The majority of the time, most of the code that you write is like pretty basic, and you're gonna be using a lot of libraries. Having said that, one time I did have an interview question that some guy pulled directly from his work. So it does pop up every once in a while, but it's not that common. How should you prepare for coding interviews? What are some things you would have done differently when preparing for internship interviews? Very big one. I should do a whole video on that too. How to prepare for coding interviews. Like, the short answer is cracking the coding interview, right? What are some tips you would have done differently when preparing for internship interviews? Prioritize. Prioritize what you think they're gonna ask. So most of the time I see people that like double down on like making sure they know every single graph parsing algorithm, like Dijkstra's and all this kind of ridiculous stuff. It's like rarely do they ask you to do that kind of stuff. Most of the time it's like a simple string manipulation question, or it's a simple array question. There's a little bit of a trick to it. So I would focus and prioritize what I think they're gonna ask, which is what you'll learn to do when you're in university. In first year, you'll study everything. In fourth year, you'll study like a few pages and you'll get better grades. Well, probably more than a few pages if you're going to Waterloo, but do you have any advice to get better at competitive programming? I mean, I'm gonna self-promo here a little bit. I'd say make it fun, right? Like, I think Leap Party, the Chrome extension we built here at Tech and Turn called Leap Party, which lets you competitively leap code against your friends. I think that makes it more personal, and it's kind of like a personal competition. So the reason we built it is because Javin and I thought it would be a fun idea to like see who's better at coding competitions. It's one thing to face people on the internet. It's an entirely different thing to face your friends, which is kind of the idea behind Facebook, if you think about it, right? Like, what did Mark Zuckerberg say in The Social Network? He said,
people came to Face Mash in a stampede, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't because they saw pictures of hot girls. You can go anywhere on the internet and see pictures of hot girls.
Yeah.
It was because they saw pictures of girls that they knew.
That competitiveness between you and your friends, or that interaction between friends, is so much different than an interaction between strangers. So I would say take a look at Leap Party and see what you think. Starbiz, when are we gonna see that video? You're gonna see it as soon as I edit it now. Hope that answered some of your questions. Again, thank you guys so much for reaching 1K. Definitely join the Discord and ask your questions for the next Q&A. I will see you in the next episode.